We're recording. Oh, there we go. All right. Good morning, everybody. Today is Shkach. Thank you. Today is Daf Mem Vav, Daf Mem Zayin, Maseches Gittin. So we had a Mishnah that the person divorced a woman based upon rumors of her behavior. So there's a takana that he cannot go ahead and take her back. So what was the reason for the takana? So it was either. Actually, this is going to be B. All right. The A was basically that we don't want the husband, let's say he divorced her for rumors, even for Nadarim, to come back later on and say, hey, truth is, rumors weren't true. I didn't know. It was under false pretense. And I never would have divorced you in the first place, and starts creating rumors that she was not divorced. And therefore, the child that she had with her second husband is now, questionable in terms of mamzerus. And others hold no.
Well, that's not her take it back. Once she married somebody else, she can't be able to marry him anyway.
I'm sorry?
Once she married somebody else, she wouldn't be able to marry him anyways.
Right, but there's no marriage in the first place.
Yeah.
There's going to say no, and therefore the mamzerus, she was an eshesish.
Right. The party line was, he's not allowed to take it back.
Right, lo yachzir. Right, no. But why is he not allowed to take her back? Because, right, in other words, if he's allowed to take her back, then he might fight for her back. If he fights for her back, because I never would have divorced you, and right? So that's A. Or B, we want to prevent women from behaving in such ways or making the darim, and therefore, if you do that, then we don't care. Your husband divorced you, you're done. There's no second chances. So left off Mem Vav. We had Tanya Kalishna Kama, the Tanya Kalishna Basra. So 9 lines at the top, approximately. The Tanya. The Tanya Klishna Kam Amra Meir Mipnei Ma Amru Hamoitzias Isha Mishum Shemra Lo Yachzir Mishum Neder Lo Yachzir. What is the reason why we say the person goes ahead and divorces his wife because of a bad reputation, by rumors, or she has Nadarim? So Lo Yachzir Shema Telech V'Tidasi Lo Yachzir. What's going to happen? Perhaps she'll go and marry somebody else. The Nimsu Devarim B'Daim. It turns out that the rumors were unfounded. The Yaimer, and I'll say, if I knew this, I feel nice thing they may a month if you would pay me $100. Like Yisi Megar, I went to divorce to him, said get batal, and therefore they get his batal, Memvav, Ubaneha, Mamzerim, and her children would then be Mamzerim if the guy was batal, Lefichach, therefore, Omrim Lo, we tell him. Know that make sure you this is that what you're doing, because we don't want to hear from you again regarding this woman. He says I'm divorcing her, so therefore that's the reason for the takana. And Tanik and Lishabasra, we have a brayson for Lishabasra. So Amar Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Yisrael, what's the reason why we say if one goes and divorces his wife? Because of rumors, right, of her behavior, or nether, but she makes nadarim lo yachzer. Shalei b'nos Yisrael perutzim barayis nadarim. In order the b'nos Yisrael, the Jewish girls, will not be act immorally or make nadarim. Lafichach, therefore, Amrim lo Emer la, tell her haviyadash mishum shemra ani matziacha mishum neder mitziacha. Right. Tell her that the reason why you're divorcing is, and therefore other women will hear this, and her friends will realize, and therefore people will stop behaving in such ways. Fine. 2 dots in the middle of Mem Vav. So Rabbi Huda Aimer Kol Neshi the Barabim La Yachzer Shal Yed Barabim Kol Neder Sheyod Barabim La Yachzer Shalo Yod Barabim Yachzer. So Rabbi Huda says a different approach, right? Rabbi Huda's approach is if it's something that's said in public, i.e., something that basically cannot be that they cannot be revoked, right? So such behavior is bad, right? And therefore, we don't want women to act in such a way. If they make such a nether, right? I'm not going to cook dinner for my husband, right? Make such a nether in such a case, then lo yachzer. But if it's a regular shvua that perhaps the husband can go ahead and no find his own, then we could say yachzer. So I'm Rabbi Shimon Levi. My time to Rabbi Yehuda. What's the reason for Rabbi Yehuda? In other words, what is the reason why such a nether stands forever, and therefore it's a stark nether, and the husband cannot revoke it? Right, and therefore, if he divorced, if he this is her worst behavior, therefore, if he divorced her, lo yachzir. V'hikum b'nei Yisrael ki nishbo lahem nesiya edna. So it says over there by that is the Givonim that it says that Bnei Yisrael did not go ahead and destroy them because they swore to them that that the Nesiya swore to them that they won't go ahead and destroy them. Right. So the Givonim came and they were in the Canaan, and they basically said, "Hey, we're not from here, and don't kill us. We're just travelers." They said, "Okay." They swore to them, and therefore, even though it wasn't true, Bnei Yisrael didn't go ahead and kill them because it was something that was made by Rabbi. Who says that she wouldn't even stood at all? They told them we were from a far off land. And they said basically that we didn't come here, which was a lie. Therefore, the shua should not stand at all. It was done on false pretense. And the reason why they weren't killed because they didn't want to go ahead and they wanted to remain Hashem. They didn't want to be known as, I guess, a murderous nation, and therefore they sort of left mercy upon them. The Kama Rabbim, and how much is Rabbim? Instead of something said, but Rabbim, so Nachman Omar Gimel, and Rabbi Yitzchak Omar Asar, one says opinion is three men, the other was 10. From Nachman Omar Gimel, because it says Yamim Beis Rabbim Gimel, it says over there something like completely different, right? It's not even talking about people, it's talking about Zava Gedolah. Says over there, Yamim Rabbim, we learn over there, Yamim is days, right? Plural days is 2. Rabbim, multiple, many days, is 2 plus 1 is 3. So therefore 3, so therefore a lot is 3, and therefore we'll interpret over here, a lot of people, Rabbim is 3. And the other, in Rabbi Yitzchak Ma'asara, it says 10 because it's Eda, because it's referred to Eda, right? It says by the Meraglim, referred to the other Meraglim as an Eda. In other words, that the ones who had evil to say about the land of Israel, so that was the 12 minus Yeshua and Kalev, and therefore that's 10. So therefore we know Eda is 10, and therefore that's what it means to do Barabba. Fine. Now, Rabbi Meir Shita in the Mishnah, so Rabbi Meir said, Kol neder shetzarech b'chulei, any neder that needs chakiras chacham is, Rabbi Meir said, is anyone that needs chakiras chacham is lo yachzir. If you don't need it, then yachzir. So Amar and Tanya Amar Rabbi Yazer, and it says Rabbi Yazer, Amar lo asu tzarich elu b'nei shein. No, opposite. Actually, they're both aser. But the only reason why when he tzarich chakiras chacham is aser is because we aser the case of Eino tzarich. The case of Eino tzarich is for sure aser. And therefore, we're geyser the case of when you need a chacham matter is aser. So according to Rabbi Elazar, you always it's always lo yachzer. What's the reason? My committee. Rameir says a man wouldn't flinch for a second to send his wife to go ahead and beis din and basically embarrass her to have her her neder revoked. Therefore, the husband would say, "Oh, had I known, I could have just sent her to beis din, and they would have revoked her vow. I would have done it. I would have divorced you in the first place." No, and this is kilkula, right? So therefore, according to Rameir, he would do that. So therefore, if it's chakiras chacham, we don't allow. But if it's in Rabbi Elazar's savar, excuse me. Rabbi Elazar savar, right? A man would never send, and therefore, if it was a chakiras chacham, right, then the man would never say, "Hey, had I would have known, right, I could just send her to the beis din. They could have freed up her vows because he never would have sent her to the beis din." So therefore, Ikra din, according to Rabbi Elazar, that case would be okay. The reason why it's not okay is because of the case of which, so what, even when a husband can revoke it, the husband can claim, "Hey, I had no idea I could revoke it, right? I would have just revoked it instead of divorcing her. It would have been much cheaper." And Amar Rabbi Yehuda Ma'aseh B'tzidan, then we brought a Ma'aseh B'tzidan by a man who had a nether. So my Tana Dichtani Ma'aseh, I understand what's going on here. What was taught in the Mishnah that you brought this Ma'aseh and Sidon did not really seem to be shaykh to the halachas I was teaching. Right, so now what's this? My Sidon, we're going to explain it right now. So Chasui Mechla, no, it's missing a part. What I should say. But all these cases we're talking about leyachzer is when she made the nether. Aval nether who, but if he was the one who made the nether, then yachzer he can take her back. And on that, but Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yehuda, and on that Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yehuda says Ma'aseh. But now there was a Ma'aseh in Sidon. The Biachad She'amar Leisha, a man said to his wife, "Kainem im einim megarshcha." He basically says, "Kainem like a carbon, if I do not divorce you." The Girsha, and he divorced her. The Chachamim allowed him to go ahead and remarry her. He was allowed to go ahead and take her back. Now, there was no issue of lo yachzer in that case. They allowed him to go ahead and take her back. Gemara says, "My kainem." First of all, what's going on? This kainem, right? Was we kainem in a megarshka, right? So Amrav Huna, the Omer Yosher Kol Peir Shabaylam Alai Yimena Megarshka. Basically saying all kainem for all the fruits of the world will be after to me if I don't, let's say, divorce you by Wednesday. So therefore, that was the kainem was set up based on all the fruits of the world. And then they allowed him to go ahead and remarry. So it's obvious. Why would they not? So the verse says no. And maybe he did a bad thing, and there should be guys like Reb Nassan. That time Reb Nassan Aimer, Hanaider Kilu Bana Bama. Right, one who goes ahead and makes a nether, not a good thing. All right, it's like one who goes ahead and builds an altar, a forbidden altar. As if he basically offered kachim b'chutz, right? And therefore, it's no good. And therefore, since he did a bad thing, he made the nether and he fulfilled it, right? And he divorced her. Maybe we should punish him for making a nether in the first place, fulfilling in the first place. Kamash Malan, then we don't go ahead and punish him, and he's allowed to go ahead and take him back. So because of the ways of the world. So my tikkun olam. What is the tikkun olam of this situation here? So Rav Sheshes, Aresha. Rav Sheshes says we're going on the Resha. No, it's nothing to do with the last case, the case of the husband making the nether. Rather, the case of the woman making the nether, where we say lo yachzer, or the case of when there was rumors about her, and we say lo yachzer. That's what the tikkun olam was. Vino Omar, the olam, a sefer. Really, we're going the sefer in this case. V'afitoni ein bezum mitnei tikkun olam. There is no shaychus with tikkun olam here. That was he can go ahead and remarry her, and there is no issue of tikkun olam. Therefore, he's free to go ahead and take her back and marry her. Fine. Naya Mishnah. Mishnah says, Hamaitzi as Ishtay Mashum Islandus. Man goes ahead and divorces his wife, married her at a young age. She never seemed to grow signs of physical maturity. And he says, "You're not going to have kids. I want kids. You're an islandess, and you're out. Divorcing you." So Rabbi Huda Imer lo yachzer, he's not allowed to go ahead and take her back. Chaim will say yachzer. He could take her back. Right, because it's not she was. And these say, in other words, why? Let's say that she married another man. And all of a sudden she showed signs and gave birth. So in other words, that would be the situation where one would say, "Hey, I had no idea you weren't an islandess. I thought the whole thing was the assumption you're an islandess." So she, let's say, marries, she has kids. She comes back and she says, "Oh, by the way, you divorced me as an islandess. When you divorce as an islandess, then you don't get the ksuba, right? It was a shtickle false pretense, right? So you don't get the ksuba. But now you see I was an islandess. So why don't you pay me my money?" So Rabbi Yehuda, better for you to be quiet than start talking. If you want to open up this can of worms, we're going to say you're right. You were never an islandess, and therefore you really weren't divorced because you're divorced under false pretense, and therefore you married to the first guy, and you married a second guy and had a baby with him. Well, that child's a bouncer. So maybe don't come to Beis Din and ask for your $200. So that was Rabbi Yehuda said. But Zak the Gemara.
Keep it quiet.
Yeah. So the Memra.
Speak it under the breath.
Yeah.
Keep quiet. Exactly.
Yeah. No, don't claim for your money. Don't claim for your money. Don't start claiming I was never right.
How did they prove this?
But she's not an islandess? Well, that was easy. That she right.
Hey,
How do they know that he's working for a home?
you don't give a reason.
Yeah, you don't have
reason.
you don't have a-
A lot of people don't know that it's because she was an island.
So we're gonna see. We're gonna see the Gemara. Let's see. Now, Zak the Gemara. So the Memra de Rabbi Yehuda So first of all, so you're telling me that Rabbi Yehuda is chayshish. No, Rabbi Yehuda says lo yachzir, right? Lo yachzir, because perhaps he's going to go ahead. I'm divorcing you, right? Because of you're an islandess, and all of a sudden you're not an islandess, and therefore, I want the divorce in the first place, not a get, and therefore mishum kilkula, right? So Rabbi Yehuda says, and then Rabbanan say no problem. Right? They can say yachzir, right? You go ahead, you divorce her, you want to take her back later on, take her back, obviously, right? We learn opposite. That's not what we learn in the Mishnah. It says says the Rabbanan, one who goes out and divorces his wife, like similar to the first Mishnah, because of bad reputation. There's rumors about her, or she made nadarim. Can't take her back. Lo yachzir. That was the Rabbanan. Seems to be the chayshish l'kilkula, right? Perhaps the person will say, "Oh, I didn't know I can get rid of the nadarim. Oh, I didn't know that the rumors were not true." If it was the rabbi knew about it, then lo yachzir. But if it was not known to the multitudes and the husband go ahead and do it, then yachzir, you can go ahead and take her back. He's going to go ahead and say, "Oh, had I known, I could have revoked the nether." Okay, we're not worried about that. Yachzir. Alma. So Amar Shmuel Ipuch. So Shmuel says, okay, switch around the sheet here. But the Sefer says, you want to say Rabbi Yehuda is not chayshish, but the Sefer says, if this islandess went ahead and married someone else, and she had children from him, and she says, hey, by the way, you divorced me when you didn't give me money. You said I was an islandess, and hey, check out my 2-year-old. Now Rabbi Yehuda, and Rabbi Yehuda was the one who said there. Obviously, Rabbi Yehuda is chayshish l'kakula. Rabbi Yehuda Aimer la shtikasayich yafim devarayich. Right? Right? Better for you to be quiet than start problems here. Michlal, Rabbi Yehuda chayshish l'kakula. He would be chayshish l'kakula.
You can't change the sheet.
So Hanami. So I want to say Hanami Ipuch. Okay, so switch around and say there was Rabban who said it. No, really, don't switch it around. The Rabbi Yehuda, the Hahi Savir La Kirab Meir, right? So over there, we'll say that Rabbi Yehuda, right? He holds like Rabbi Meir, the Savir La Kirab Elazar, right? And he also holds like Rabbi Elazar. So B'tzarich, right? It says in the case of B'tzarich, in other words, when over here, Rashi over here, look at Rashi real quick, right? So Loi Teba, because that doesn't really explain the Shitas. So Lo Teba, Rabbi Yehuda Vadai Chayish L'Kakula. Really, Rabbi Yehuda is Chayish L'Kakula. The Gabi Neder Hainu Tama Deloi Chayish. The reason why by Nedarim he's not Chayish, she says if you don't need who wasn't done by Rabbim, you can be Yachzir. The Ksaber Leka Kakula B'Dim Neder Hatzar Chakiros Chacham Saber Lekarbe Elazar. The Ein Adam writes that Tishvaz the Ish to Beis Din, because he'll never go right to Beis Din. He's not going to say, "Hey, had I would have known, I could have just had a Chakiros Chacham. I could have mastered it," because he never would have done it. He holds like Rabbi Elazar that a person would not embarrass his wife. Therefore, he won't never have that claim of, "Hey, had I would have known by the nether, I would have taken you to Beis Din." He would have done. Therefore, he could have said, "Had I known." Right? When you don't need tzarich, saver lachrame also gemeir the amar ein about toya beneder shabiyado leifir ve'en yochol leimar lachazban the yisideh shen yochol leifir loik dereshtifa. Everyone knows they can go ahead and revoke the vows, right? So he can't come back later on and say, "Hey, had I known, I would have revoked the vow on my own instead of divorcing you." He had that opportunity and didn't do it. Therefore, he can't have that claim. So since he can't have that claim, and since there is no claim of "I'll send my wife to Beis Din," because he would never embarrass his wife, so therefore that's the reason why we say Yachzir according to Rabbi Yehuda in that case over there. Over here, we are Chayshish L'Kakula because over here, if she's not an islandess, then there's Kakula. So back in the Gemara, so in several Krameir, and in the case of Ein Tzarech, when he doesn't holds like Rameir that the person would have revoked it. And Amar Rava, the Rabbi Yehuda, Kasha, the Rabbanan, the Rabbi like Kasha. But there's only a contradiction. Rabbanan, not in the Rabbanan. I understand the Rabbanan over there were choshesh, over here they're not. Amar Rava, you're right. Rabbi Yehuda like Kasha, Kedeshanina. Right, you're right. The Rabbi Yehuda is not a contradiction as we just have answered. And the Rabbanan also like Asha. Saman Chachamim who are Chachamim that are mayor. It is the opinion of mayor. The Amar Be'inan Tanai Kafel. In other words, it has to be basically this get is conditional. And it has to be Tanai Kafel. Tanai Kafel we learned from Ben Reuben, right? It was said up there by when Moshe was basically making a condition. If we go ahead and fight, then we get the land. If we don't go ahead and fight, then we don't get it. So over here, the husband should have said, and this is sort of Mark's point, how do we know that he was an islandist? So he's saying over here, if I'm giving you this, if you're an islandist, here is your get. And what he should have said was, and if you're not an islandist, you're not divorced. But he didn't do Tanai Kafel. And therefore it wasn't a good Tanai, and therefore it was considered to be not conditional at all, dependent on her being an islandist at all. And therefore he can't go back and say, hey, I didn't know you weren't an islandist. That doesn't make a difference. It wasn't Tanai Kafel, right? But if it was said conditionally, then that comes back to Mark's point, and then we would, in that case, say, hey, if she's not an islandist, then Taka, then it would not be a get because it was conditional upon that. The Hachma Eskinan, but like Kafel tonight over here, it was not made as a double condition. Fine.
Allow an island, in order she's an islandist, and allow her to get married.
Oh, remarried. Now, how,
Very good. Now this person's, 20 years old. And
It's a cold,
Is she allowed to get married?
I don't think so.
So then why would it allow?
Somebody's what kind for
Yeah,
so that area.
yeah.
No.
The
We
second
had. They're not. What's the level of Cal?
No.
I'm trying to think for a second. No, I remember. No, you would think that, right? But I remember there was an issue.
Yeah, person can have the second wife.
No, I understand. I understand that lada for the mitzvah. Right, all right, whatever.
The reason I'm asking,
Yeah.
because if that is the case, then why would?
No, so maybe she showed signs before. Maybe she showed physical maturity signs in between. She couldn't find them. I don't know. Yeah. Hamaycher is atzmai. This bonov. The person goes ahead and sells himself or and his son. We don't go ahead and say, "Oh, let us go ahead and ransom you and get you back." They don't do it. But the father dies, who basically was the brains behind it. Then, right? So then we save the children. We don't want them to grow up amongst other.
It's the case of people all in the.
Okay, answer.
But because we're punishing them. Basically, we don't want them to. The father was the one who kept selling them. The DCFS would be easier, right? Yeah, but he would. But assuming that they would all be ransomed together, maybe not ransom without.
It's the case of people all in the.
Yeah.
Doesn't say.
Well,
Stein addresses, question, he says, he brings most of the Rishon, close to the Rambam, the Rosh Hashanah, and they thought all say it's something, we're dealing with the case of something violence.
at the time of the marriage.
No, even after the time of divorce. Even. And that's why he needs.
No,
Hey,
right,
that's
no,
why
no,
he
no,
needs to
right,
get,
yeah.
and that's- But because it's something about that, she can still be married to somebody else.
Right.
Something about it.
That unless you say it's below silver, right?
No, okay.
Well, she was not about that, because obviously not.
Well, right,
Right,
I'm
yeah.
saying, but why they iron this, then she doesn't get rejected, the whole solution is not good. She doesn't get it, she doesn't
Oh,
get it.
no, but that means you'd have to marry her as an Alice. You would marry an islandess, and therefore it wouldn't be chal.
But I said, so this whole case here is
Right.
sometimes, therefore she has to
Something
get again, and therefore she can't be married, it's not a problem.
Right, okay, yeah. Fine, very good. Zok right, so we say, fine, so that was the mission. So I is the tikkun. So let's see. So Zok the Gemara Amar Avasi v'hu shemachar v'shana v'shivish. We're talking about a case of a guy who's already done it a couple of times. What are we concerned about? We're concerned about he's going to keep on doing it again. So therefore, we're not getting involved. You did it already twice, third time, right? Fool me once, fool me twice. Then we add one, fool me three times, right? Shame on me, right? Therefore, we're done. The guy dies, the instigator, the one that keeps doing it. Now we can go ahead and save his children. There was these burdened people from B'michsi. The makom, right? So they borrowed money from the Goyim, and they weren't able to right? So they didn't have money to pay them back. So I'm sure you can guess this what happened next. Also, the Kagarbu, they went there and they took them and says, okay, you're enslaved to us. And also came to Rav Huna, came from Rav Huna, Samalu. What can we do for you? We can't pay you back, right? That's not. It says you basically sold yourself to we can't go ahead and redeem you. So Rabbi Abba, saying Rabbeinu, you taught us they've already done it a couple times. Then you don't go ahead and ransom out. Samarlei, Hani Margil Regili, this is not the first time for these people. This is also like the third time they've done this. So therefore, we can't go ahead and redeem. How covered this up in Nafshe Ludai, right? Big mistake. These person sold himself to the Ludians, right? They were, right, as Rashi says, Uma Sh'oichlin B'nei Adam. They were cannibals, right? They were people that ate. Basically, their people were in they were in danger.
That's a big one.
So also the Kame the Rabami came from Rabami Samarlei. Pirkins, they told the Rabami says they have to go ahead and ransom him, right? Go ahead and take redeem me, ransom me. They're going to eat me. Samarlei, Tanan Hamecha Asaves Banav Chavim Padinasel. We can't really do anything for you because you sold yourself, and basically, that you're on your own. But your kids, because you don't want to grow up. If you sold them too, then after you die, we can go ahead and do it. But well, he said certainly over here, right? The whole issue is for the kids of Kilkula over here, right? They're going to eat me, right? Get me out of here. He is a moomer, this guy. He is an apikaris. How do you know that? I've seen him eat neves and trelos. Maybe that was all available. He was hungry, or they're really good. Maybe that was the reason why he ate it. No. They were the same equal dish in front of him. Right, and he purposely ate the isser, not the heter, the hachis. Samarlei, so they turned to the guy, Zil, look, li, I can't go ahead and ransom you, and that we're not chayshish looking cool in this case.
Right, but did he not have children?
So I guess in this case, right, and so So in this case, also the question was, right. I mean, I was just thinking, he must have done it, right, a couple times already. In this case, or else they would have, been responsible to do it. All right, unless he's a Yisrael Mumer, that even that doesn't. Fine. Anyway, Reish Lakish Zobin Nafshe Ludai. Reish Lakish basically wanted to go ahead and take care of the situation. So he said, "Hey, you guys, you're into the what's it called, hostage, right, business. Hey, come on, give me some money. I'm not going to pay it back. Take me a hostage. Ludai shakel v'hadei." So they went ahead, and but he took with him. He took a bag and like a hard ball, some is a rolling thing, like a lead ball. So Amar Gemiri, we know the Yom Basra called the boy Minayu of Dilan. I know that they always say the person on death row, your last dinner. Over here you get a last request. Yeah, I know on the last day before they eat them, they go ahead and they get it right. They get it. All right. So in order that they should get basically not be punished for killing, for splitting bus. So Yom Basra. So on the last day came summer late. So my knew what he wanted. What's the request? So he said to them, all right, here's what I want. I want to go ahead and tie you guys up and sit you down, right? Tie you up and hit you 1.5 times. I want to hit you 1.5 times. So Kamtinu. So he tied him up, and he sat them down. So he took out the bag. And he thought it was just a light bag. Really had like a lead ball in there, and he conked them each one over the head. And nafik mishmase, right? They were basically like half dead, right? They were a little bit out of it. However, right? They sort of smiled at him, like basically like, hey, okay, you got us, but you didn't really get us because we're still alive. Right? You're coming to laugh at me. right? That was only one. I owe you 1.5, right? And Kathleen Kulu, the Nafik Vyasa. So he did the other half, and he basically killed them all, and then he left the what's it called? The Ludians. And Yosef Kocha V'Shasi.
That's why I told you.
Yeah. He went to go ahead to fix the situation. Yeah, this is easier. I'm sorry? Yeah. Right.
This is correct, this is how Rambo was mixed, right?
I'm sorry, right. So some say, there's, some say this occurred when, he really wasn't allowed to do it. Reish Lakish, he was a Baal Tshuva, so right, it says this occurred during his youth, when he was a little bit more wild, right? Fine. So Yosem Kacha V'Shasi, so Reish Lakish used to go ahead and he would work, and then he would eat basically his work. He was not big into savings. Shamali Barite says that said Lubius Mide Lemizgala. You don't even need to sleep on. Right? Should maybe not spend all your money on food and buy yourself a bed. Shamalei BT Krisa Kri, right? My belly, my bike, right? That's my bed. I don't need any more cushions. Don't worry about me. And Kinoch Navshe Shavak Kava de Marika, right? When he died, he actually did leave with some assets. He had a kav of saffron, the Marika. Right? Those people who leave to others are sort of foolish because they don't know what the others were going to do. And he basically didn't use up all his money in his life because he still left a little bit of saffron. So therefore, he was not a big believer. I'm sorry? Right, of course. No. It was very little, but wasn't right. Yeah. Fine. Now in Mishnah. Mishnah says, Hamaycher Esadehu Avik Chavim. One who goes ahead and sells his field to Avik Chavim, like Keach Umaybi Mimenu Bikurim. It may Tikana Elam. We do not like people selling their land in Israel. Therefore, we will go ahead and say anybody who sells their land, you got to go back every year and buy off from the owner, the goyim, of the chavim, the fruits, and bring them as bikurim. It's going to get expensive and annoying. Well, therefore, maybe that will deter you or other people to go ahead and sell the land of the chavim in Eretz Yisrael. Fine, that was the Mishnah. And Omer Rabba. So now we're going to machlekes. Omer Rabba, of course. Even though, right, there is no kinyan for Avik Chavim in Eretz Yisrael to remove the requirement of Meiser. In other words, that they don't own it, that land is still obligated in Shuvas Meisers. Shneimar, as the pasuk says, Kili Haaretz li Kedusha Haaretz, right? The land is mine, there's still Kedusha. But they can go ahead and still go ahead and dig pits and cisterns and all that. Shneimar, as the pasuk says, Hashemayim Shaim LaHashem ve'Haaretz Nasan Livnei Adam. That the heavens is for Hashem, but the land is given to man. Therefore, they can go ahead and use and do as they please in the land. Well, there's a big machlokes in terms of so we'll soon see. Why is that? Right. We'll soon see. They're going to be prices. Rob is going to be prices to attempt to support him. And the Rebbe Ozar Omer. No, even though yes, there is kinyan chavim there to sell off kimidei meiser, they can go ahead and acquire it and basically remove the obligation for a meiser. Shneimar says, "Diganecha, your grains, not the grains of the chavim. But however, they have no permission to go ahead and acquire the land in terms of to do what they want to physical land." Shneimar says. Lashem Haaretz. I assume that's the pasuk of Lashem Haaretz from Loa. That's my guess, right? Although it doesn't bring down the the pasuk is, and therefore that the land is Hashem's, so therefore the land is Hashem's. Yes, Einachinami. The land is always Hashem's, so the grains might not been yours. Therefore, it's not Chai Ma'aser, but the land is Hashem's.
So this is probably Lazar the Amora.
Yes. So b'mai k'mifagi. So what's my challah here? One holds that it has to be, in other words, your grain, not the grain of the goyim, i.e., that would be the second sheet of Elazar. My saber digunacha, right? That which you go ahead and complete. In other words, it's not just that who's owned it; it's who's going ahead and completing the process, the smoothing, the point of time of where the Trumas HaMeiser are taken. And Amar Rabba Mina Minallah. So where did I know this from? It's not we learn in the Mishnah. Halaket v'ashicha v'peya she'ovei kachavim chayavin b'meiser el im kain hifker. It's a very funny statement. We're going to try to figure out the statement. So leket shich and peya. So these are stuff that have been either forgotten or the corners or stuff that have dropped. And normally we give these to the poor. So those items of ovei kachavim are chayiv and meiser. Those items are chayiv and meiser. If they were hefker. So what does this mean? So hey chidami, what's the case? If pshat, this means the Israel, it's a land belonging to a Jew. Like to Avei Kachavim, and Avei Kachavim came along and he took the lekat shech and peya, ela it kain hifker. Only if he made the Avei Kachavim, or if he made it hefker. Mafker v'kaimo. Understand? Lekat shech and peya are hefker. They're already hefker. So what is the only if he made it hefker? Doesn't make sense. Elab, rather than that, Avei Kachavim. Maybe it was a land belonging to an Avei Kachavim. Like Tuna Yisrael, and then Yisrael came to go ahead and get the corners, and it's only over there. Tama the Hifker. Only if the Avei Kachavim said, "Hey, lekat shech and peya are hefker." Allah Hifker Chayim, right? But if they weren't hefker, then we see that he would be Chayim, right? So therefore, you see over here that the land grown by Avei Kachavim is Chayim Trumas HaMeisers, right? So where I says no, the Yolam the Yisrael really was grown by Yisrael, the Latino Avei Kachavim, and really it was collected, it was gathered by the Kachavim. Right? And you said, so why is it he had to go ahead and make it hefker? See the mafkei adai to the Yisrael, right? Yes, when the Jew made his corners, the stuff the lekat shech and peya hefker, he did it for the purposes of Yisrael. Right? Right? Did he have it in terms of them? Right? So maybe he didn't go ahead and have them in mind, right? He only had it in mind for a Jew to go ahead and take it. So Avei Kachavim took it. So maybe that was that. So therefore, you're only pater if he also had in mind that this, even if a guy can go ahead and take it, it's his, and therefore that would be like a shikapeya, and therefore they would not be obligated for Trumas HaMeisers.
Field, the corner field sector, so the Jew sold it to.
Well, he didn't sell it here. The Avei Kachavim took it. It was left out. He goes, I'll take it. So if the owner of the field had in mind, hey, I'm leaving my corners of the field, and if any Jew or any Avei Kachavim takes it, so then it's pater. But if he just thought, hey, a Jew can take it, right? Because that's who pay us for. But if a guy takes it, so therefore it was something that it wasn't really payah. It was something grown, owned by a Jew. Therefore, if someone takes it from the Avei Kachavim, he would be chayiv for Trumas HaMeisers on that.
There's no sheet. It's impossible. A person has a piece of land.
Right.
Who doesn't just
Leave it.
If it has value.
The corners, right, the corners. I'm saying he's leaving the corners open or whatever. He knows it's going to be taken. He didn't think. He figured Jews are going to take it. He lives in, I don't know, Beit Shemesh. Jews. Oh, there's a lot of Arabs here. I don't know. Yeah. A place with only Jews. I don't know.
Yeah, assume.
Right.
Not there like you were supposed. So he assumed the Jews were going to.
Right. Yeah. So Toshma. Let's see another source from tonight. So Toshma, go listen. Yisrael shalakach sedem Avei Kachavim. So let's say a Jew bought a field from Avei Kachavim. So ad shalahi v'yashlish, before they grew a third. Now growing a third is the point that where it comes chayiv Trumas HaMeisers, right? So he bought it ad shalahi v'yashlish, v'chazru machar lo mishvi yashlish, and then he sold it. So it was basically under his watch when it grew to a third, and then he sold it back, right? Chayavas b'maisa. Shekvar nischayva. Therefore, it's chayav because it was kvar nischayva. Nischayva in, lo nischayva lo. So you see, only if it was nischayev while it was under him, but if it was under a guy when it was good to a shlish, it would be pater. So you see over here that their ownership, right, doesn't go to him. So the rest is no lachav and basuria. We're talking about surah. We're not talking about Eretz Yisrael. Eretz Yisrael proper. It doesn't matter when it grows. It's all there's Avei Kachavim cannot be mafkia from Trumas HaMeisers. right? So we're talking about in Syria over there, where David HaMelech went to go ahead and conquer for the kingdom. And over there, we're talking about Syria. Kibush Yachid, that Kibush Yachid of David HaMelech, Loishmei Kibush, was not considered to be conquered Israel when it comes to Shuvas HaMaisos. And Tashma, come and listen. Yisrael v'Ovid Chavin shalachu sadeh b'shutfus. Yisrael and Ovid Chavin that bought land in partnership. To the page. Tebel v'chul mervin zevazeh. Each part has tebel in it. In other words, stuff that Ovid Chavin and in other words that he has to obligate to, and chulin and stuff that is owned by the Ovid Chavin that is not chayiv, right? Mixed up in each part. Mervin zevazeh. Divrei Rabbi. That's Rabbi and Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. Aimer. Sha'avik Kachavim Pater, the Avik Kachavim is Pater, Sha'Yisrael is Chayiv, and that's the Machos between Rabbi and Rosh Gamliel. And Ad Kan Lo Pligi El Damar Savar Yesh Beira, Mar Savar Brera. The only Machos over here is as to whether you can separate and say, okay, all of this stuff grew as mine, and therefore it's all Chayiv, and all that stuff that you take that grew as yours is all Pater. So they're only arguing as to whether you can say there's Brera, there's not Brera. Aval to Kulei Alma Yesh Kan Avik Kachavim Eretz Yisrael Av Kimi Yad Meiser, but both of them hold that the Avik Kachavim's part is not Chayiv and Meiser. So it's a proof. So Hachanami Basuri, we're talking about Syria, Kibush, Yachid, Loishmei Kibush. We're talking about the conquering of Syria. That area was not considered to be obligated. Obligate those areas it's for Shemus Meisos.
Just on the side, you know whether Roman they take two.
I have no idea. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, right. Yeah. Huh? Yeah. Ah, interesting. Right.
For sure.
Yeah.
Strange thing. Maybe they just have that line.
Yes.
So you did.
So Amar Rav Chia bar Avin Tashma Hamaychas Elo Avik Chavim Loikeach Umaybe Bikurim Pnei Tikkun Olam. So let's look at our Mishnah. One who goes ahead and sells this field of Avik Chavim, so he has to go ahead and basically take and buy the Bikurim every year because Tikkun Olam. Pnei Tikkun Olam in Midaraisa Lo. It sounds like only because of Tikkun Olam you have to go ahead, and otherwise it would not be Chai for Bikurim. So Ramashi, no, Shtei Takanos. There's actually two takanas going on. What do you mean? Really, midaraisa, they're obligated, and therefore people used to go ahead and sell the land, and the bikurim are still brought. However, kevan dechazidika makri umazavni, the subject to shasayuk kaimenum. But people would see, hey, this land is still in its kedusha, and therefore it's bikurim. So I'm not doing such a bad thing by selling my land to Avik Chavim because there's still bikurim being brought from my land. So it's not such a big deal. Okay, so my old neighbors will be angry at me for selling to Avik Chavim. But okay, it's not such a big deal. It's still because Josayu Kai. So therefore, Taknito Luhu, Deloy Laisa. Therefore, they made a takana not to bring Bikurim, so people think it loses its Kedusha. And Kevan the Chazad demand Delay Sagilo. And then they saw that people basically who needed the money, right? So then they saw that people who weren't able to go ahead and basically make ends meet, right? They would go ahead and basically sell it.
They would assimilate.
And then the fields now are going to Chavim. So and Bikurim wasn't being taken. So therefore they said over here, you know what? People have to go ahead and bring. So you see that even though it was done as Tikkun Olam, nevertheless, really midaraisa, it could still be brought. It's still kedusha. It's not a proof the other way. Right.
The law of unintended consequence.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. In this case, Itmar. One who goes ahead and sells his field for just payros. You can buy my field, but just the payros. You don't own the field. You own any fruits that come from it. So maybe a person goes ahead and he brings the bikurim and he brings it says this, it reads the psukim. No, he brings, but he does not go ahead and read the psukim. Maybe it's standard. Why? Because acquiring the rights to the fruits, the same as like acquiring the land. Maybe he brings, but he does not go ahead and read the pasuk. Why? Because the acquiring the fruits is not like acquiring the land, and therefore he does not go ahead. He's eno kairei. So Eisvei Rabbi Yechon Reish Lakish, Rabbi Yechon Reish Lakish. The pasuk says Uluvei Secha. It says over there that just reading the pasuk. Right, Samach b'chol tov Hashem nasan lecha Hashem lekecha uluvei secha atav alivia gerish b'shibrecha Hashem b'kabecha. So it says uluvei secha, and what do you learn about uluvei secha? Melamed she'adam mevi b'kurei ishta v'kurei. A person brings his wife's nichsei malug. Now, what is a nichsei malug? He owns the rights, right? She owns the principal. He owns the rights. Same as this case. And what do we see over here? A man is maybe the kairei. So too, one is maybe the kairei. So Amalei, Shani Hasam, no, opposite. The chsiv uluvei secha. Over there, yes, we learned the word uluvei secha means your wife's malug, but it's coming to teach you that this is the what's it called? This is the exception to the rule. The rule is if you only have the rights, you're not maybe the kairei. Only the meisecha, only the malug, that you have the rights to the fruits and not the principal. Only that case you bring, but everything else, you're not maybe the kairei. And they get the army, some of the different version, very similar. It's Rabbi Shimon Lakish to Rabbi Yechon. Rabbi Lakish says Rabbi Yechon. Maybe bikura ishta the karei. So we see over there that a person goes ahead and brings the bikura of his wife and he reads. So only in this case, the exception to the rule is the wife. But if a standard case, a person buys the rights to land, it would not work. Samalei, no. No, this is actually where I learned it. Since a person has his maybe the kari when it comes to his wife's malum, therefore any case the person is kin and peiros is as if he's also kari maybe ukari. So the person was going, he was traveling to Yerushalayim to bring the bikurim. And he also had the bikurim from his wife from the malum with him. The shama shemesa ishto, and he heard that his wife died. Maybe the kairei, so he brings. So mesain loy mesalo. It sounds like he would only be maybe the kairei, right? Only if she died, but if she didn't die, no. Why says no?
Why are they bringing them? Oh, that's the on the Kriya.
The what?
On the Kriya?
Right, he wouldn't read it then.
It's only on the Kriya.
Right. So mesain loy mesalo. So he goes, no. Who didn't loy mesa? Even if that she didn't die, he would be maybe the kairei. Right, the lay mesa, and over here it's a chiddush. We need the case over here that he's still, even in the case of mesa, he would still be kairei, right? Maybe the Yishmeg executives of Rabbi Yisrael Chanina. What did Rabbi Yisrael Chanina say? Then Rabbi Yisrael Chanina. So, Batal Shigron Biyad Shaliach, a person went ahead and he harvested, right, and he took it and he sent the grapes, right, and he sent them to Yerushalayim. Right, biyad shaliach, in the hands of shaliach, umeis shaliach b'derech. The shaliach died. Maybe, and the guy says, "Oh, my shaliach died. I gotta go ahead and bring it myself." Right. So maybe ve'inu kairei. He goes and brings it, but he's not kairei. Shinamar. The pasuk says, "Ulakachta ve'vesa ad shetehei lekicha ve'hava b'yachad." In other words, the intentions had to have been right to bring it, and the one who's bringing it. So since to take it and bring it. Since he didn't take it, the shaliach took it, and he just continued. So therefore, in that case, it wasn't ultimately set out him to begin with. So therefore, it's not maybe kari. But in this case of the wife, right, where he was going out, maybe I would think it's similar to that case, and therefore maybe just like that case is not a kari. So in the case of his wife dying, he would not be kari. Kamash Malon, he is kari, and the Ozlu Tamayu, and they go l'shitasa. What's the shita? Diitmar. And the one who goes ahead and sells, right, his field when Yovel is knowing, right, when most people are in Eretz Yisrael, and therefore all the karka goes back to the original owners. So therefore, basically, when someone buys it, it's very similar to just buying something for the rights to the fruits because it goes back after 50 years or whatever it is. Rabbi Yechon, maybe the kairei. Reish Lakish, maybe the kairei. Rabbi Yechon says, no, you go ahead and you maybe the kairei. And Reish Lakish says, maybe the kairei. Rabbi Yechon, maybe the kairei. Why? Kinin peiros, kinin and goof dummies. Even though he doesn't own the land, it goes back during Yovel. Nevertheless, it's like kinin peiros, and therefore he would say it. Reish Lakish, maybe the kairei. No, he brings it, but he does not go ahead and be kairei the psukim. Why? Kinin peiros lav kinin and goof because it's not similar. It's not. It's the same case. So therefore, if no, it's not like owning the land if you just own the rights. So why do you have to have this machlokes twice? Both in the case of Yovel and in the case of a person buys something with just the rights to the fruits. Tzricha. We need both cases. Why? If we just had that case, when he buys the rights to the land, he's basically saying, I don't own the land now. I'm just buying the rights to the fruits for 10 years. That's why I'm buying it. And therefore, that makes sense, right? Why he's ain't a current, because I'm not thinking I'm acquiring the land. But over here, when I'm buying it until Yovel, I died to the Gufei Kanafis. In my mind, I own the land until Yovel, right? I own the entire land until Yovel. So therefore, maybe I'll go ahead and maybe go ahead and agree with Rabbi Yechon. No, and therefore he's not. He still says in that case. And if Rabbi Yechon still says in such a case, he is maybe Vikari. And if we had the other case, in other words, when he went ahead and bought for Yovel, come Rabbi Yechon, and maybe in that case, the Rabbi Yechon says maybe Vikari because he bought the land and he has the land completely until Yovel. But what he says from the outright, I'm not buying the land, I'm just buying the rights to the fruits. Maybe you would agree with Reish Lakish. Therefore, it's tzricha. Therefore, we need in both cases to say that Rabbi Yechon and Reish Lakish go to Shitasam in the case of maybe B'Kairei or maybe B'Kairei, and we will stop here. And we'll have a wonderful day.
What's the last line?